What is the difference between being punk and being a punk?
We are here to talk some punk rock, some music, comics,
Punk culture, DIY shit, anything we want to talk about.
That's what fascinates me. Give me everything. Absolutely everything.
I find that music and comics have always been intertwined.
Muckspout.
Chicks dig it. Don't worry.
Hey, welcome to Muckspout podcast. Today we are talking punk news, punk adjacent news, new releases with our friends from That's Good Enough For Me. We have Jeff and Dan.
Hello.
And Ben's with me, and I'm Eric. So there's our. Thank you. Now it's all you guys.
Hey. Well, once again, thanks for having us. As people who saw us at the end of April may have recalled, I was in a closet at the time. Now we're kind of in a new place, but not really settled in, and this may not even be where my computer goes. So I have my camera is mounted on something right now, but it may not be where I want it to go either. So we'll see where that ends up. But we're starting to
along for that journey.
Yeah, I know. It's been quite a good one. And I'm here with Dan, my writer, one of my reviewers, one of my good friends for close to 3 decades now.
Yep,
Dan.
Former roommate.
And where are you located, Dan?
I'm in the Charlotte area now. Been all over the country though. I live with Jeff in the Midwest, and then he's back there. And then I lived in LA area for like 18 years, and now I'm in the Charlotte area. So.
Yeah, he actually switched over from the West Coast to the East Coast while we were still in England, and then we were in New Jersey for a bit, and then we switched over to the West Coast. So it's like we haven't seen each other, even though at one point we were like 10 hours away from each other by car. And it just didn't work out because there's a pandemic in the way.
Yep. Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, I heard it goes around. It gets around. Yeah. So we're starting a bit later this month. It is now the 11th, and the idea was to kind of have these at the end of each month. But 2 weekends ago it was the Memorial Day weekend, and then last weekend was a big part of our move. So we're Muckspout people. We're happy to have us come in at any point. That's why we're here right now today, and we're going to just kind of dive in with the news of basically May and probably a lot of June that we've had so far. And I think one of the things that I really wanted to bring up was there's been a lot of health scares in the punk scene lately. First of which is Mike Ness, longtime Social Distortion. He's got tonsil cancer and is currently in treatment for that. It's the last update I saw, I wasn't sure if he had started his chemotherapy yet or not. But they're recording up to the day before he started treatment, from what I saw. And we're all getting old. I mean, I guess that kind of happens.
Mm-hmm.
I know enough cases of it happening even when they're young that
Right.
I guess he kind of dodged that bullet for a bit. I say so. We, as you'll see, we'll be saying to a lot of people today, we wish him well.
Yeah.
And kind of.
Well, I know all the people in the Mute Sounds community and the Muckspout community will be sending their thoughts his way. Cancer is not discriminatory. It chooses whoever it chooses. So
I don't know, tonsil cancer, like, where does that fall as far as, like, I don't know, the word seriousness probably isn't appropriate, but, like, there's different cancers are a little scarier than others. Do we know, anybody know anything about tonsil cancer? Like, I know it's got to be especially scary for a singer. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Sure.
it's I think, as with any cancer, the biggest fear is whether or not it's localized to where it originated or if it has, spread. And, but even that, like, I don't have my tonsils out.
Right.
Right.
Now I'm like, maybe I should, maybe just to dodge that bullet, that particular bullet. But it's like, to be fair and to be honest, I do have a tonsil issue that they're kind of in the midst of seeing what's going on. One of mine's just gotten bigger than the other, but it's not malignant. It's not cancer, but it's just like, now I'm like, maybe you guys should just take it out like you mentioned earlier. So we'll see what happens with that. But for Mike, we hope the best. And he said there's new music they got working on. And he's, from the statements on multiple news sources, he definitely seems positive about the prognosis. And we hope it is all good. Yeah.
Well, that's what punk is, right? We got to be fearless.
Got to be fearless.
Hope for the best.
And now to bring everyone down even more, Dan has.
Oh, hooray!
Yeah. So one of my favorite bands. I even have a shirt sleeve that I got at a concert. Just a sleeve. I don't have the rest of the shirt. Legwagon announced that
a discount or what?
What's that?
Was it cheaper to just?
They were tossing them out, and I reached up and grabbed the sleeve, and everyone tried to pull it from me, and all I ended up with just the sleeve, but it has the logo on it, so I still wear it.
He has had that since I've known him, so
that's awesome.
So they announced that they had to unfortunately cancel their Canadian round of their tours due to Joey Cape. It's undisclosed, what the illness is, but he said he's going to need surgery and quite a bit of recovery time. So, I don't know if that's going to affect. I know they're going to go to Australia and New Zealand later in like October, November. I don't know what kind of recovery time he needs or what the issue is, but it doesn't sound good for Joey. He said basically, he's broken and falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, I like how the way he brings it up is just say 2 decades ago, we wrote a song falling apart, and now it's actually happening. So it's like,
right. Yeah.
But it's like, as once again, age. So once again, everyone at That's Good Enough for Me wishes Joey the best and speedy recovery, so we can get back to the shows. One thing I felt kind of bad about was that I saw some of the online comments and like, even with his statement that he was not well and there was something going on, some people were all just, oh, they've canceled again. Oh, and it's just like, come on, man. It's like, let the guy get better. He's in his 50s now, pushing 60.
Every show has its asshole at it, so they just now they get to be on the internet when we're not at the shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This statement I thought was really well written, though. It was a very meaty statement. It made me think about whenever I hear Goldfinger's Superman, like it's so relatable now that I'm older, and I always think about like how when they wrote that song they were like late teens, early 20s. Like, how did they write that song then?
Yeah, they're 12. They're all like 12, 11 and 12 years old.
Like, Superman. So like when I thought about that song, I was like, yeah, like, man, he was funny how like that. Well, not funny, but it's just like tapped into something. Like when you're older, it's like, wow.
Yeah,
really. Definitely.
And not as much medical news, because I think we're done with medical news, but really big announcement for the scene. Earlier this week, Derek Grant announced he will be stepping aside as drummer for Alkaline Trio. He's the third drummer of the band, the longest running, of course, by a long shot of 22 years. And has been a big part of what has made their sound as they grew in popularity. And I know from the scene and from a lot of bands I've talked to, he really has been leaning a lot into the production side and being on the back end of things. And, it seems like he's made this decision for both his health and his mental well-being to step away from being on stage, if you will. So
I was always surprised by this one because I don't feel like they tour very often. So like that.
Yeah, but I guess like maybe being on the most recent tour, may have been when he was just like, well, thanks, but it's time for me to step aside.
Yeah, I can't even imagine being in the same music project for 22 years consistently, like playing tour after tour after tour with the same dudes. No disrespect to my bandmates. I just can't imagine it because I just found people that I wanted to do that with. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like 22 years, at some point I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm going to try some country for a while.
Well, some of the jokes that have been going around are of course Josh Freese is going to become the next drummer.
Right, because he's everybody's drummer.
He's everybody's drummer. That's big news. Josh Freese is now the drummer of Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
What really got me though is they're like, oh, Josh Freese, he's been this session drummer for decades. Like all of these big acts he worked with, and then like at the very end, it's like the Vandals, and it's like, but he's been the Vandals drummer for over 30 years. I mean, like, that's not really a session drummer. He's on every studio album.
It's just further proof that real punk is still not like given credit in mainstream. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And the Vandals, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. But so I kind of cracked. I was texting with some buddies, and I'm like, you know what they should do is Alkaline Trio should just kind of like go full Ouroboros all the way around. Like they should bring Mike Fellenly back in for a couple years, and then like end out with Glenn Porter.
Glenn Porter again.
And just be like, I'm like, okay, we're done. But yeah, so like it's big news. He's obviously made the decision that's best for him. And it's not like he's not busy with all this production work, and he's really been stepping up. So I think we'll be hearing more of his output if it's not him playing drums. And I'm sure he might find another project or two that he wants to maybe jam around a bit on. Like once a musician, you don't really want to step away that often. So
right,
yeah, and kind of like slightly similar news of someone starting a new thing. So a while ago, people may remember this. Like all of a sudden, Polly Van Dam just kind of slipped out of the Bomb Pops. She was just like off the side. It was kind of mysterious for a while. And then she was on Jughead's podcast. She explained a lot of the reasoning, but she's been playing like kind of like with other bands for a bit. She's announced a new 3-member band of herself called the Polly Van Dam Band. So we're hopefully going to hear more from them soon. And she's a great person. I met her when they played in London. And I interviewed the guys in the band back in like 2018, 2017. And she's a great person. And I really hope for the best. And I'm looking forward to what is going to come from her band as well.
I always loved the Bomb Pops logo. Great for stickers and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, good branding there.
Yeah,
good branding.
They have some great branding, and the music is good.
Fun, catchy punk. We'll see where that all goes. And,
cool.
So
I'm always excited when a musician who has a little bit of experience on the road and in the songwriting realm starts a new thing. I'm always like, are they going to keep it consistent? Are they going to jump off the road? What's going to happen next? I'm always excited to see where it develops.
Yeah, she said that she would be playing some of her Bomb Pop songs in the band, and then there would be original material too. So cool. I would imagine but it's like she's got an open road in front of her. I mean, she doesn't have to lock into just the Bomb Pop style. She can do those songs and still explore so much more. And I know she's got the chance to do it. So I'm excited. I'm happy and looking forward. So this, I think that's all we got for individual people. We've got health scares and people leaving bands, people starting new bands. But we've had some great music over the past month or so. And so each of us, obviously we have our own interests that we bring to TGEFM. And so we just want to talk about some of the big bands, some of the little bands that we've had releases from. I think Dan's going to start us here.
Yeah, there was one band I really wanted to mention. I told Jeff I'd come on this because I just want to talk about the band Doki Doki. If you haven't heard them yet, their album came out actually a little while ago, back like April 25th on Asian Man Records. But I absolutely love them. They're like this raw, distorted, like garage punk. It's a female-fronted band, and Benjamin might like it because she's a drummer and she does the lead vocals.
Very cool.
I don't know if you guys have heard them. They're
No.
fantastic. They have some great videos. They have a video where they're just playing in a van while the van's driving around and they're all trying to play. Then another video where Logan, the guitarist, is like in the Asian Man garage, just packing records the whole video and singing. So the videos are great. The band is great. I discovered this one through That's Good Enough for Me. Had never even heard of them. And they're fairly new, and they're my new favorite band of 2023 so far. So.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's got one of the sisters from Dog Party, and we'll be touching on that again later. I think someone from the Moore family band, and basically they just got together because they're all part of the same scene. They're on Asian Man Records.
Right, they're pulling a Roadrunner kind of, right?
Yeah.
Remember when Roadrunner put out those albums where they have like different members from different bands come together and create some new shit?
Yeah, like just getting together and see what happens.
Yeah.
I think so. We did Bad Dad, one of our editors, did a Roll of the Dice interview with one of them. And I think that the name literally comes from like Mike Park just kind of dropped it on him. Like Doki Doki,
like heartbeat or something like that.
It's the Japanese literate like sound for like heartbeat, like the word they use.
Cool.
Doki Doki. So it's really great. It's fun stuff, and yeah, I second Dan. People should check them out if they haven't already.
Mike Park curates a really great label, so
he
Cool.
does, and it's like it's great because like everyone I've like spoken to, it really seems like there is just like this camaraderie and family to it to a lot of the people in the bands on the label, and that's how you can pull off like all of them just kind of getting together and doing this band and fun stuff.
Even like we probably should have been talking about this today, but the Electron, Maskiba's new release, like he could have gone to anybody with that. Like he just came hot off of a Blink. Alkaline Trio is still hot. Like he could have put out a new band with and gone with any record label, and really always do things like that with Asian Man. Like
definitely. So yeah, we actually tomorrow we'll be posting a review on that. My guy got it to me in the middle of our move from the 10th place to here, and I just completely like just like, so he messaged me the other day. He's like, "Did you happen to see that?" And I'm like, "Oh shit!" so we do have a review coming out on it. That'll be tomorrow. So yeah, and we'll jump from one D band to another D band. So this is near and dear to my heart. The Dead Milkmen. They came out with their new studio album, Quaker City Quiet Pills. I got to interview Joe, guitarist for that. I did the review for it. I've been listening to the album for about a month. Dead Milkmen go way back for me because one of like the first like alternative or punk music I ever really had a copy of was my friend made me a copy of MOD, USA for MOD, on one side of the tape, and Dead Milkmen's Big Lizard in the Backyard on the other. And I've been a fan ever since. Like this is like 30 plus years. So it's great, really great to listen to it. It's a fun album. It really calls back to like the earlier work in sound and everything. And there's just some really funny songs on it, and it's good stuff. I wrote a review on it. People can find it on the website. I like it.
Didn't you have a on the side of your head or something at one point?
I did one time. We went to the show. We actually shaved we reversed it, so like we cut around it, and so Dead Milkman was sticking out of my head, and then we painted it blue. I went to the show. So yeah,
the first song on the new album cracked me up.
Yeah. No, if like. So we're going to talk about our Spotify mix later on, but the song I put on is for the new song is "How Do You Even Exist," and it's one of their spoken word songs, and it's about like being pissed at someone at the restaurant because the person's like just that type of like who once they get up to the counter, like at even a fast food or semi-fast food restaurant, then takes 10 minutes to figure out what they want. Like you make that decision beforehand, or you know, like is this fair trade? It's like, shut up, just eat the food, you know. Like you should know this before getting to the restaurant. So like one of the lines in that song just made me laugh out loud, and it's just definitely people should check it out if you haven't heard it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd like to circle back for a moment though. How long did it take to shave the dead milkman into the back of your head?
It took a while.
Yeah.
We might even still have a photo of it somewhere. But it was like, you know, like clippers, my friends going at it. So it's like then scissors, and it took a long time, but it worked. It worked.
Nice.
It's like, now mind you, like this is like 1990, 91.
Right.
So I don't remember how long it was.
Okay, fair enough. You didn't time it?
No, we didn't know.
You didn't put it on Facebook?
No, yeah. Let's be fair. Was Zuckerberg even alive then?
Yeah. Or was he built yet?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We didn't have the technology yet for a Zuckerberg.
Yeah. It's like data lore before Zuckerberg, right? Yeah. All right. So we go from another long-running band to another long-running band. Dan?
Yeah, I think you guys talked about it last time. Rancid came out with their new album. It's first album since like 2017. So yeah, if you are a Rancid fan, they don't departure too much from what they've done before. It's a Rancid album. I really like it though. I feel it kind of goes back a little bit. Like it kind of reminds me of like Out Come the Wolves. Kind of there's no ska on this album. It's a lot more just all the different kind of punk genres that Rancid does. I guess they're saving their ska for Doom Regulator stuff.
Yeah.
But I really like it. It's I think better than the last few albums they put out. It's nothing, they didn't like departure too much and blow your mind or anything. But if you're a fan of older Rancid, meaning 2000 era or late 90s, I think you really like this new album.
Yeah, as a Rancid fan, it's I felt that's the way I felt that it fit in with those like first few albums, and for me, that's what I want to hear. I mean, I like newer stuff too. I've liked everything they've done pretty much, but that's like the stuff that really got me into them, and it sounded amazing to me.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't really listen to Rancid. I found that there's like kind of, I don't like to generalize too much, but there's kind of like two kind of emotions that people look for in punk rock. Like when they're young and they get into punk rock, there's one of two emotions that kind of drives them. And it's like either the fun or the rage. I was definitely in the rage category. And when I listened to Rancid, I was like, they're not angry enough. They're having too much fun.
Yeah, they more like sing along kind of stuff,
Yeah. Like when a good Rancid song comes on, I'll sing along for sure. But yeah, I just never bought their albums, never got into, never been to a show. I'm sure they put on a killer show though.
Yeah.
Like I got there like I way back when I got like their first, not the first one. I got the Rancid album, like the guy with the gun, pointing at you, and that was just all punk. That was just like, and I was like, wow, this is like these guys. Oh, the Operation Heavy guys are like, this is straight punk. This is great. I love it. And then like like Let's Go came out. I'm like, oh, okay. So and then like I didn't even hear anything from Out Come the Wolves, but I heard Ruby Soho, and I'm like, this is such a Tim Time was going to beat me up, but like this is such a manufactured song. It was like for me, it was just like it's like let's have Tim like kind of gravelly mumble over something and see how quickly we can get to that great chorus that they put together, which is super catchy. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's really catchy, but it's like it's like it's like let's see how quickly they can get to that and play it over because it's such a good one. And I was like, then after that, I didn't even really listen to a Rancid album until this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it. It really calls back to that early stuff, like people say. I think maybe it's 16 songs. It's like 4 songs too long.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been a little bit more concise, I think.
They're short songs.
Yeah.
Most of them are less than 2 minutes. So.
Yeah. How many of them can you fit in November Rain? That's the question. But it's like that's an ongoing TGFM thing. It's like when a song's really short, you see how many like times you can fit it in November Rain. But it's like, but yeah. So it's like, yeah, I like it. It was, I haven't bought an album of theirs in like 25 years, and yeah, I like it.
I like storytellers, and I think Tim Armstrong is a really good storyteller.
I agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
my favorite like songwriters are like Blake Schwarzenbach, Josh Caterer, Tim Armstrong. Like they're all very, very strong in the storytelling, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's his name for the Weakerthans? I did that the last time. I couldn't forget someone's name. I couldn't remember someone's name. Yeah. That's
another band I never really listened to.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I missed a lot of the old school stuff, like the stuff that was big when I was growing up. I was anti-hype when I was a kid. And so when people were like, "Oh man, you got to listen to punk rock," I was like, "I won't listen to any punk rock." Yeah. So I got into it a little late, and because of that, I didn't have the same I didn't have my friends flooding me with new stuff all the time, and so I had to curate a little more carefully. And yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I missed.
Yeah, I got into Rancid right before Let's Go came out, or right when it came out. I saw them for the first time live. I don't know, I was probably like 17 or 18. And after they got big and started on MTV, a lot of people were like, "Oh, they're sold out or whatever," and they stopped liking them. I'm like, but I fell in love with them right away, and I was like, they weren't big yet, so that's.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've always felt like, what difference does it make whether they're on TV or they're, just.
Yeah. I saw them play
between 10 friends.
18 and over, like all ages place, where the stage was so small to the ceiling that their mohawks were hitting the roof, and they $5 a cover charge.
Yeah, exactly.
Popping the lights. Sparks coming down. Yay! We're going to go from big band, probably the biggest band on the list, to Tightwire. Tightwire plays like this kind of like this catchy Ramones core, pop punk. Think like Screeching Weasel or Teenage Bottle Rocket, but like with like they have their own style, like they have a thing to them, and they've loaded up with Noelle, who's she's played in a whole bunch of different bands. I first saw her playing for the Murderburgers when Fraser came over, but he was obviously couldn't bring the full band from Scotland to fill in. But it's like an excellent album. There's so much energy to this band. And I just from start to finish, like you're just going to listen to this album, you're just going to smile. It's well written, well composed, which you wouldn't think, because like a lot of these Ramones core bands, basically, it's like a one trick pony. Right. But if you can do something different within that subgenre, you're really going to nail it. And so Toby and Red Scare got a copy of this to my guy Jared, who is currently on tour. He plays guitar for American Television out of DC, but he also writes reviews for us. And he just like, him and I were just texting back and forth on our back end channel. Just like, why is this so good? And he's like, I don't know. This is just great. It's the great stuff. So he wrote a review. It's really good. And once again, this is one of the smaller bands. But if you do have a chance, check them out. Tightwire. It's a head full of snakes. The new album, great stuff.
I've seen them like mentioned all over the place recently, like in my social feeds. And I think it's kind of like Ben. I was kind of like, man, everybody's talking about them. I'll check it out. I think, but today I actually played a little bit while I was putting together graphics for the show because they're going to be Riot Fest, so I was thinking about checking them out anyways. And I liked it.
Yeah, no, I was really excited also because in the build up to the album, they swung down to Felony's live from the Rock Room.
Oh, okay.
In studio performances, and so they've released I think 2 of them so far, and it's just like even in that studio, like it just sounds good. They play their songs tight. They know what they're doing. It's just this is a band that's firing on all cylinders right now, and they deserve the accolades that they should be getting.
Right. Yeah. Well, first of all, killer name. It's just brilliant. Says it all. And like if they can have an energy that matches the name, they'll go places. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Is there like a prevailing message that comes across, or is it just the vibe that is singing to people?
It's the vibe. I mean, I don't know if there's a prevailing message as much as it's really like we talked about songwriters and the songwriting here. Like the songs mean things. Like they're not just like dumb 1-2, and not to knock the genre, but like I because I love Ramones cover. It's fun. Who doesn't? If you don't, you're dead inside. But it's like there's like they're not just writing songs just for fun and pop. The songs are there's stuff there. They've got substance. The music is just filling it in and bringing a whole package to life across the album. So definitely, it's good.
Very cool.
Yeah. Totally. Not in freeze. I'm just kidding. All right. So next up, I think Dan just dropped a review on this band on the page. I think we published it on Friday, right?
I think so. Yeah, the album came out Friday.
Oh, I know those people.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
love that cover.
I wasn't that familiar with.
Like, I'm not going to listen to them though.
I filmed a show with them last year. For like a festival called Bitch Fest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they were fantastic. I think they had a horn section. They have a horn section in the band.
Maybe on some of their songs, but they have some keys. I don't know if they have horns though.
Oh, okay. I think I remember a horn being on stage at the time. Maybe that's. They're all blurring together. It was a festival.
I could be mistaken, but I think like there's kind of like this like rolling of musicians who may like show up with the band.
Some of the musicians play multiple instruments. Yeah, so it could be. So, yeah, I wasn't that familiar with Amy Gaba, and then other than I heard her on some Mikey and his Uke, like some of those cover versions, and I think she does like an AC/DC cover or something that was like blown away by her vocals. So it just popped up for review, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to check it out, and I really liked it. It's definitely not just punk or just ska. It's like it's rock based is what I would say, but there's like some country and some blues and like some reggae and some punk rock and some like it's every song is like kind of a little different. And they say there's a bunch of different musicians from bands from like Real Big Fish, Suburban Legends, Interrupters, Big D and the Kids Table, No Effects, a bunch of different like collaborators kind of do the musical part, and her vocals though are just amazing. Like her vocals, I just can't stop talking enough about it. But there's definitely some real like kind of melodic punk songs and a couple that I consider ska or kind of reggae sounding. But yeah, it was pretty good. I was really into it. Yeah, and
that cover is amazing. I love the energy in that cover.
Yeah.
Colors and everything.
I do want to say I don't know where they're going around right now or where they're traveling to, where they're playing, but if you can see a live show with them, amazing.
There you go. It's I agree with Dan. It's like there's a lot of multi-genre there, and you can like I take it as like a good sign when you see so many guest musicians showing up to like contribute to someone's album. I mean, it shows not only that they have faith in what is being put out, but also they kind of want to lift this band and this person higher up than they've gotten so far, and it's definitely deserved. Good album, good review. Go to TGEFM and read it, guys. Those clicks. There you go. And so from there, maybe not the most famous band, although they've been around for a while. Snuff is another band that I've listened to for an incredibly long time. I've seen them a couple times only in the UK when I was living there for 5 years. They've just released via Spam Records. Spam is Stefan Dehan, who used to be part of the Fat Records, if I understand correctly, part of the Fat Records Europe division. But then when they closed that down, he just opened up used his experience and started his own label. And he puts out a whole bunch of bands, a whole bunch of great music, a big festival. So he's been releasing some of the Snuff albums for a while. And this one has the cumbersome name of Give It a Go If You Think You're Rahman Enough.
I love that name.
Yeah, they just always, most of the albums have such a long names, and you got to truncate it. But what it is they've selected 10 of their songs, ranging from 1997's Tweet Tweet My Lovely all the way up to their most recent album. It's all in Italian, Crepuscula Dorado, blah blah blah, something or other. It's got another long name. It's in Italian, so I can't say it right. And they play them acoustic, which sometimes may seem like a cop out. Hey, you're going to do an acoustic album, huh? But when Snuff does a melodic song, it is memorable, and it sounds good. And when they've kind of reinvented these tracks acoustically, they didn't just hey, we're just going to unplug it and play it acoustically. They reimagined the songs. There's instruments that don't normally show up. There's some violins, some cello, harmonicas, in addition to the normal Hammond organ and the trombone, trumpet, and everything. And it's just, I've been listening to a lot in the car, and it's just good stuff. And some of the songs reimagined, slowed down, and turned them into acoustic. For me, took on a different meaning. You imagine these songs as stories, and you begin to imagine who's singing it and why. And so all of a sudden, my whole vision of who's singing this song, the storyteller, has been subverted to a different person, and it's that good. So I think the band commented that it should be live on streaming services today. It came out on Friday.
Yeah, I couldn't find it earlier on Spotify yet.
Yeah, so that's one of the things about Spam that they tend to do is they tend to really lean into the physical releases at first. And so streaming comes out soon. So if you're not in the UK or Europe and can't get a copy, it will be out soon. The second song on the album, one of those days, is streaming streaming services. Then So for a Month is the only single they released prior to the album. So you can listen to that, and hopefully soon it will be out.
Very cool.
Good stuff. And yeah, is that all for our album releases? Dan, are you going to speak on Fishbone?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to touch on Fishbones. It was just an EP they released. It wasn't a full-length album, but the big thing about this album was that 4 of the original 6 members of Fishbone were back on this. So it's the most closest to the original Fishbone in a long time. Fat Mike actually produced this album and wrote one of the songs called Strange Fruit. So that was kind of a neat little collaboration, between Fat Mike and Fishbone. It's just a short EP, but I thought it was pretty good. And it had a little more of a mix with, especially with the Fat Mike No Effects collaboration song. I don't know if anybody else heard it yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah, I didn't get much of a chance to listen to it. So I take Dan's word. but I mean to. It's just been such a hectic time. So.
Honestly, I came here to be educated, so yeah, I don't feel bad at all.
So moving on from new releases we've had recently, we're gonna talk a little bit about some new singles and videos that bands have released.
I don't have graphics for these.
That's fine. I don't know. The first is as I said, we talked about Dog Party earlier. One of the members is in Doki Doki. Well, there's also a new act together. It's like an all-female collective called We Are Radio Noise. The S in noise is a dollar symbol. They're on Epitaph, and they just released their first song. And it is essentially members of the like kind of pop punk band Lowball who got together recently to kind of like reformation, and it kind of snowballed into a bunch of other musicians joining in, including members of Tsunami Bomb, Red 5, both the sisters from Dog Party, which is a two-person band anyways. And so they released a new track, which is actually an altered version of the Bouncing Souls song Manthem. It's called Womanthum, if you will. It's on streaming services. It's on YouTube. Look it up. It's really catchy, and I like what they're doing. And hopefully we'll have more from them soon. I mean, obviously they got into Epitaph right away, just through the concept and who they are and members. So it's a good thing, I think. And speaking of female-fronted acts, also Doghouse Rose out of Canada. I think they're from Ontario. Ben, have you heard of them?
I haven't.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
You don't know everybody?
We've probably met. I'll shout you out as soon as I recognize you.
I mean, let's be fair. I mean, Canada's a big place.
Yeah, and Ontario is the second biggest in it. So
yeah, so you can't run into everyone everywhere.
But nobody lives on the 2/3 above the.
Yeah,
not many.
I mean, you get up to Tuktoyaktuk and like that's it, right?
Mm-hmm, pretty much.
But it's so it's a female-fronted pop punk energetic band. They released a song "Jacob Sweater" in May. A new video, "It Is What It Is," just a couple of days ago from their new album called "Unlearn," which is out the 30th of this month on Stomp Records. It's going back to talking about like things like the Bomb Pops and things like that. Like that first Bomb Pops album and was really high energy. This reminds me of it. It's really catchy. It's really fun. It sounds good. It's slickly produced. I think it's a band to check out and keep your eyes on. I don't know if anyone else had a chance to check that out. No.
Not yet.
Then I guess I'll keep talking. So next up is the band Shitty Half Pipe.
Great name.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I want to make sure I got that right.
Shitty Half Pipe. As in,
okay.
I am on a shitty half pipe.
I just built a quarter pipe, so I really like the name, but mine's nice, but
yeah. Actually,
fine line between nice and shitty.
So. Yeah. So they've been playing around for a bit, and then they kind of disappeared for a while, and they just popped up with their new song "Shitty Half Pipe." So it's an eponymous song from their upcoming album "No Comply." It's their debut LP, which is out the 22nd of July. This is another one of those songs. I think you can fit about almost 8 of them into one November Rain. It's a little over a minute long, and it's this great fast punk, really punk, and it is once again full of energy, which is kind of one of the things I like. And yeah, I think people should check that out. It's good stuff. Yeah. And yeah, did you have something to say? No, just shitty half pipe. Yeah. Everyone all at once just say shitty half pipe.
Shitty half pipe.
Shitty
half pipe.
There you go. See, We'd make a great band.
Got that timing down.
So
I call drums.
I can't play anything. Eric's here with 4 guitars. He doesn't know what to do with. Takes one of them out. He's let loose.
Right.
So,
That's close. It's getting
and so coming up on the 23rd of this month is another band out of, I think, Florida. They're called Fore, F-O-R-E, like the golf, or like, and their new album is called Skin. And I think this is, I think this may be their debut LP. I think that is.
So this one I did get a graphic for, just because.
Guys,
Yeah.
come on.
I wanted to save anybody from having to search that themselves, because if Safe Search is not on, wow.
Which is weird, because when you look at the cover, like the more
I'm
you
like,
look at it, the more you're like, what is this going on?
I'm like both my dad and myself at the same time right now looking at this. There's a part of me that's like giggling like a little schoolgirl, and the other part of me is like, can we just please grow up?
So, I
And the answer is no.
Yeah. So I was mistaken. It is their sophomore LP. Now the big difference is they've lost one of their members, so it's now a trio. You wouldn't know it though, and there's not a lot of overdubbing on guitars, but it still sounds really full. What they do is they play this like very melodic punk, skate punk kind of sound, but the vocal delivery makes me think of like Rush or some type of like 70s dirty Southern rock. There's a cadence and a sound to his voice, which is it's just something interesting about it. And I don't really want to get too far into it, but they do have at least two songs now available that you can stream, and I think it's streaming on Spotify, also at their Bandcamp. And so I check it out. I've been listening to it. I have good things to say. I think I've been listening to the album for a while. If I had to say one thing about it that I'm kind of, we'll talk about more in the review, and this is the same thing that Rancid got, maybe they could have shaved a song or two off and made it a little bit more concise. But it's still good. The song is still good.
They say four Skin.
Four?
Could have shaved a little more off.
Yeah. No pun intended, but now that you said it, maybe.
All right, guys, I gotta go.
So that's about all I've got to talk about today. I think we wanted to close out our part of this with first off with just what's coming up for some gigs that we're going to have some members at. I personally, coming up next Friday at the Golden Bowl in Oakland, California, and then going to be going to the Guilty Party show, which is going to see 2/3 of its members. So it's 3 people in the band. It's got 2 of the members of Toy Guitar and one of the guys from Bracket. And 2 of them are going to be moving up to Seattle. So even though they're going to still be recording, this is kind of like the last live show for a while with the band. Included to perform are going to be Pity Party, also from the area. Jenny Cotterill from Bad Cop will be performing. Cadence Miles going to be there. I'm going to be taking photos and just hanging out and having fun. So if you are in the Bay Area, I hope to see you there. And Dan?
So week after next, 22nd, I believe it is, Catbite's playing in Durham, North Carolina. So I'm going to go check out Catbite. I'm a big ska fan myself. So, and Catbite, in my opinion, is the future of ska. So they're going to play at a little place called the Pine Hook, I believe it's called.
Pine Hook, Pinhook, yeah.
Pine Hook.
Yeah.
I've never been to Durham, so this will be new. And lined up a little like video interview to do with them. It's our first time doing a video interview, so we'll see how that goes. And then I'm also going to interview the opening band, which is called Dollar Signs. I believe they're from the Charlotte area. They're kind of like a poppy punk band that sings, I don't know, songs kind of like Blink-182 about like relationships and girlfriends and not having a job and girlfriend's dumping you, and their songs are pretty hilarious. They're I never heard of them before, and I saw their opening band. I started checking out some of their music, and they're pretty hilarious. Their songs are pretty funny, and they actually have they're a punk band, but they actually have a keyboard and a guy plays trumpet also. So they kind of have a little bit of a ska mix to them, but I would say they're more like a kind of a poppy punk sound to them. But I'm actually pretty excited to see them.
Good. All right. Well, that's for the time being. That's all we're doing. This is going to be my first show. I don't know. Dan, you've been to the show since then, right? Since the pandemic.
Oh yeah, I've been to. Actually, this will be only like my second and third show since the pandemic.
So I'm really excited because this will be my first show since the pandemic started, except for when Laura Jane Grace and Brendan Kelly played at the Total Landscaping in Philadelphia, the place where Rudy Giuliani had his press conference. The Four Seasons Total Landscaping.
I forgot they did that. Yeah,
that's right.
Like, because he was supposed to be booked at the Four Seasons, instead he shows up like this. So I went to that show, and that was great. So this will be my first show in like 2 years, but I'm really excited, and I hope to see a lot of people there. None of you, because I think you have to go too far for it.
Yeah, it's sort of a hike.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hike.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to end our part with the, as I mentioned last time, we do a weekly Spotify playlist where we're every week, a certain amount of TGFM's contributors pick a song that has been released in the past 4 weeks, and any song from whenever they want, and we add it onto the playlist each week of the year. So it's growing and growing with kind of like our sense of what we're listening to and what we have been listening to. And I'd like to, if you'd like to, you don't have to, invite you to submit your own to add on to our list this week.
I'm down.
Okay, I'm in. Eric, you go first because I got to look mine up.
Okay, I'll say it slowly. So we put out like a new release lists every week. John does, and he gets so many of them, he breaks it into two. So I was I usually kind of poke through them and listen to a few from different bands every now and then. And I really liked Muddy Ruckus. They had a song called Adeline off of Vacation Land, which released recently. I think this week. It was on this week's list, I think. And it was one that I really dug. Can't speak too greatly to it because I've only listened to it a couple times, but really it hit me.
Yeah, I mean that works.
That was my new. And then as far as old ones, I just recently picked up a vinyl of Lagwagon's Double Platinum, and so Making Friends. And then knowing that we were going to be talking about Lagwagon, I was like, hey, it's good timing.
Yeah. Always making friends with the surgeon.
What do we got, Ben?
Okay, so my one from like Anytime is so first of all, I should say, like, I know this is a punk rock podcast and I'm one of the co-hosts, but punk is like not my main sort of avenue of music. As Eric and I have talked about it at length over episode after episode, it's like punk is an attitude for me. I love the music, but I live by the attitude, and my tastes are very wide. So every once in a while, a punk band or a song will kind of cross my path, but it's not something I'm actively pursuing all the time. So recently, I found out about a band called Brutus. I don't know if you know about Brutus.
I've heard. Yeah.
Sorry?
I've heard of them, but
yeah. There's a song called Drive that I got really, really into. Female vocalist, really driving music, quite intense, but it has like some solid songwriting to it. Like the lyrics mean something. It's really, really well done. So I suggest Drive by Brutus for one. And for my new one, I'm going to kind of cheat. My band put out a second EP just a couple weeks ago.
Yes, this is awesome.
I'm going to tell you my favorite song on the album. is on the newest release is Endless Run. Although Resilience is like doing quite well, and I love that song too. But Endless Run is my favorite song. So
Okay.
yeah, that's us.
Yep. So you're gonna go with Endless Run.
I'm gonna go with Endless Run. Yeah, Resilience is already getting some play, so I want to see what Endless Run can do once it gets into the punk rock crowd.
Every listener, we're going to use Endless Run, but you really should listen to the whole album.
Yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, that's great because, like, hey, if the logo is on our website, it's on everything. We're punk adjacent, and everything else, and that just means we pretty much put in whatever we want to listen to.
Right.
That's punk in itself. That's kind of
yeah. Hell yeah.
That's exactly what we are, really.
Yeah.
Totally.
Punk is a keyword that I hope that gets picked up by the search engines, but we put in whatever.
Wouldn't that be nice? That's about when they shut down the search engines, I would say.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos
is getting riled up. We got to get them out of here.
All the Google guys are like, turn it off, put the switch. All right.
I appreciate you guys coming on. Talk news. This was a good time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Well, it was a pleasure meeting you guys. And
it's been great.
Keep doing the hard work of finding great music for me to listen to.
Yeah, right.
I really appreciate it.
That's really what it's all about. And also, besides listening to the whole album, people, if you really want to join in as a volunteer, because none of us get paid, but want to hear free music before it comes out, look us up on that'sgoodenough4me.com, because we're always in need for more reviewers and more people. So
that's a hell of a sell.
Yeah, I have so much. Dan can attest. We have so many promos that just slip by the wayside because we just don't have enough people or enough time to do it.
I like writing, but I can't. Writing reviews is like a different skill set, and I struggle. I don't know if I don't have enough adjectives or what. Like I just.
I didn't have any writing experience or skills, but I just say what I feel, and then Jeff tells me what I'm doing wrong and fixes it.
Fair enough.
Having it in there.
Basically, like I rewrite his entire review.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, Dan's great. All my reviews.
Dan's like, hey, I liked that one. Why does it?
No, they're all great, and what's great is like we really, I mean, everyone who comes here, we do it because we love music and we love the scene, and there are certain perks involved, like getting into shows and things like that, and interviewing bands we love and hearing promos before they come out. And it's just a lot of fun. Like, I've been doing it now. I did it at Punk News for 4 years, and then I started this in 2020. I just do it because it's fun.
Well, I'm thinking about it right now. I used to do comic book reviews back in the day. I had this guy who was like kind enough to let me just basically write short essays on philosophy that were connected to the comic book I was reading.
Nice.
And it was a lot of fun. And I've definitely learned how to. I've learned the value of an economy of words now, so I don't ramble quite so much.
Right.
But I'm definitely. We'll be in touch.
Hey, that'd be great.
I might have some thoughts.
Yeah, sounds great.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well,
cool.
I got to go cook dinner for my family because it's dinner time here now.
It's almost bedtime here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This past
I gotta go put my daughter in for bed tonight. So.
Yeah.
All right. I just have one thing to add before we wrap it up. Mute Sounds is going to go on tour in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
We're going to be hitting most of the cities in Ontario worth hitting. No disrespect to anybody else.
Ottawa, disrespectful to everybody else.
What's that?
It sounded a little disrespectful to everybody else.
Whatever, they'll get over it. We're going to be in Ottawa, Hamilton, Guelph, London, Sudbury. There's a couple places I'm missing, and Toronto as always. If you're in Ontario and you're interested, make a trip. It'll be worth it.
Awesome. Well, good luck on tour.
Listen to the EP and go to the show.
Yes, and listen to the whole album.
Yes, the whole album.
All right.
Resilience.
Alrighty.
I'm really bad at advertising. Have you noticed?
It's hard. It's easy for everybody, like to do it for everybody else. It's hard to do it for
Right,
yourself.
that's true.
Thanks, guys. I'm gonna hit.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
See you guys soon.
Good.
Hey, you made it through an entire episode. Good for you. If you're looking for more, give the rest of the channel a look, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We'll catch you fuckers next time. Later.